guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I am going to be reviewing Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the first book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. This is a 4-book series that Kerri Maniscalco has written dealing with a young girl named Audrey Rose who is essentially learning forensic science in 1888 London, which is completely outside of what women would normally do in this time period in London. And in this story, as you can probably tell, she's trying to find out who Jack the Ripper is and stop him from killing the multiple women that he ends up killing within the late 19th century, early 20th century. Overall, this book was absolutely amazing. I ended up reading this as a challenge book for the Biannual Bibliothon, completing a challenge of reading a book off of someone else's TBR. As a few bibliothons ago, this was Emma Books' pick, and I just really loved this book. I was so excited to be able to read it because I heard so many good things about it, and I was not let down in the slightest. This book was not only intriguing and incredibly gory, but was also so well researched. I have never found a historical novel that has been so well researched as this one. Probably the closest one was the book I read towards the beginning of my booktube career about the Lizzie Borden murders, and I just loved this book so much just for the historical content that was involved with it. Now, take into consideration, there are some creative liberties that were taken with this book because there was very little information about the Jack the Ripper and who he was and what his intentions were. But the victims in this story are actually named off of the victims who were killed by the real Jack the Ripper back in London in 1888. This also incorporates a lot of detail about forensic science in the late 19th century, including pictures of things that may have actually been around during that time. Like, it was so just well researched, and it made me so happy because especially when you're writing something based off of a real person and a real string of murder cases, it's important that you get so much accurate information and well done information to where it feels real, and it felt so real. I do want to say that this book is much more slower paced because of the fact that this is truly a case where you are trying to go with Audrey to find out who is Jack the Ripper, and there's not much evidence that you're able to get throughout the entire course of the case. Now, for a lot of people, that may be really difficult to deal with, but for me, it made sense because of the fact that we are literally following her as she is going on this case, and I would not expect her to be able to find things right off the bat and all of a sudden know who Jack the Ripper is. There were some really great plot twists towards the end of this novel, and other not so much plot twists, but character twists, I would say, about things regarding her family and things that Audrey kind of had to go through that were unexpected when it came to, having to also deal with finding Jack the Ripper, things about like her father and her uncle, who is the one that teaches her forensic science, and other things including her brother and her cousins and aunt and things like that. All of the character twists within the story really kind of fleshed out the story a lot more and kept it from the monotony of just feeling like you're just dragging on trying to find these clues to the case, and kind of just broke up that monotony by giving us more about Audrey Rose's life and really filling that out and kind of her standing in society because of her affinity for the darker things in life like forensic science and autopsies and things of that nature. And I have to say, the romance between Audrey and Thomas is adorable. I love it. Thomas is a bit of a jackass at the beginning because I don't think really understands Audrey very well. I think that he is learning to understand her as the story goes on, and he's very intrigued by her, but he also has a very dry sense of humor. He's very sarcastic. He can kind of come off as a jackass, but I just adored him. He wasn't a jackass to the point where he was abusive in any way. If anything, I think he took Audrey's feelings a lot into consideration because I think that from the very beginning, he really cares for her, and I just adore him. I think he's funny, and I think he's really a great balancing point for Audrey because he gets her to remember to stay neutral and stay balanced throughout the story when things just kind of seem to be going everywhere for her, especially when it comes to things about her family that are revealed. He kind of is the one that reins her back in and kind of gets her to just remain centered in order to solve this case that is running amok in her hometown. Audrey Rose also is an incredibly inspiring character because in this time period, women were expected to just stay in the home and take care of the home, and young girls at Audrey's age of 17 were expected to be married off to somebody and, you know, provide for her husband and take care of him and do nothing other than that. So for Audrey to be in forensic science was a really huge hit to her reputation considering her father's standing in society, and it made people really question about her because everyone thought of her as peculiar for enjoying very dark elements and man's work especially. And I think that because of her strong will and strong mind throughout this story, it made her so inspiring because she was unwilling to let anyone get in the way of what she loves and what she thinks is fun for her and what she thinks that she enjoys, because in this time period women would have just let people walk all over them and pay no mind to it, where Audrey is like, no, 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 I am not going to let people walk all over me, and I'm going to do what I want because I am a strong independent woman who don't need no man, and ain't nobody going to tell me different. The thing I love about her is that every movement she makes has a purpose. She's not timid about her movements, but she is not in the same sense vain. She moves with a purpose, she talks with a purpose, she sets her mind on things, and she goes for them. She's not wishy-washy. She doesn't feel like she has to make any kinds of judgments. She just goes for what she wants and doesn't settle, and I just love it. Overall, I ended up giving Stalking Jack the Ripper a 5 out of 5 stars because I just really, truly enjoyed this story for everything that it was. I did not find anything within this story that was worth critiquing. I honestly feel like this is one of the most perfect books I've ever read, in my opinion. Now, for many of you, you may read this book and not feel the same way. Like I said, some people are not fans of more slower paced novels. I am a kind of, it depends for me on whether or not the slow pace makes sense or not. But for me, I love everything about this book. I feel like the writing style is beautiful. I feel like the historical accuracy was done well. I feel like Audrey Rose was a strong character who also had some insecurities that she had to deal with, but was still incredibly strong-minded and strong-willed. And Thomas, even though he could be a bit of a jerk some days, he is still incredibly lovable and is not abusive, and he takes care of Audrey in the way that you want her to be taken care of. So I just fell in love with this book. I cannot wait to read Haunting Prince Dracula and then Escaping from Houdini, and then the final book that is coming out sometime next year, hopefully. We shall see. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this review of Stalking Jack the Ripper. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.